Hello, students. Today we are going to study English from the book Beehive of Class 9, Chapter 1 The Fun They Had, Part 1. Before starting with this chapter, I'll give you the introduction of the chapter. It is a light story and the fun. It is set in the future and it will make all of you love school. Yeah, the story is regarding the school life. And now those children who do not go to school miss their school. They do not have their books, and how these children miss their school life and feel that their ancestor, that is the present generation, that they had fun going to school, meeting each other, enjoying, helping. They had fun at school. Yeah, this story is the imagination of a little girl called Margie, who comes to know that in the past her ancestors used to go to school and all the children used to study together, and she feels that they had lots of fun going to school. Now, before we start a chapter, see what is written here. The story we shall read is a set in future. Yes, we have discussed when books and school as we know now them will perhaps not exist. This is the future school that we are going to read in this chapter. How will children study then? How they will study? The diagram below may give you some ideas. See, the diagram which is shown here is the school of the future. Learning through computer. Yes, we can learn through computers. See, nowadays we are doing the same, the virtual classes. We are uploading the videos and you are seeing from that and you are learning through the virtual classes. Here, the classroom where we sit in front of the computer and we communicate with the teacher. Then the moving e-text. In the moving e-text, we have all the books and everything inside the computer only. Robotic teacher. See, where the robots who are the pre-programmed, they are being pre-programmed to teach you the particular subject. See, this three things that you will like the best is your school, and three things about your school that you would like to change. See, all these is about the future school. And now let us begin with the story. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. Margie was writing a diary on the page headed 17th May 2157. She wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." What she wrote in her diary, that today Tommy had found a real book, because they were learning through e-books only, through computers. It was a very old book, and that book was very old. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. See here, what she found, a very old book Tommy found, and that was Margie's grandfather once told her that when they were little, when they were young, that her grandfather used to tell him the story. That was the time when all the stories, everything was printed on the paper. They turned the pages which were yellow and crinkling. See, they turned the pages. When you were moving the pages were yellow and crinkling. They had many folds because it was years ago's book. And it was awfully funny to read words that stood still inside of moving the way they were supposed to be. Yeah, they were not moving. See, in computer we can move the slide, but in this we have to turn the pages and the letters were as it is where they are. So it was funny for them. On screen, and they when they turned page back to the page before, it had the same word on it, and when they were moving back, they were having the same. Yes, we all know in the notebook or the textbook, what is written, they are printed as it is. They don't move here and there. And that is they had when they read it at the first time. They were feeling, when the first time they saw all this, they were surprised to see all these things. Geese, said Tommy. Tommy said, "Geese, what is this? What a waste. When you are through with the books, you just throw it away. You throw it away." I guess they used to throw it away. He was guessing. Our television screen must have had a million books on it, and it's good for plenty more. See, in our television screen, we are having lots of book in it, and it is good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. I would not throw them away, but this book I would throw away. Same with mine, said Margie. Margie also said the same thing. She was 11. Margie was how much years? She was 11 years old and hadn't seen as many textbooks as Tommy had. She has not seen many textbook, telebooks, how much that Tommy has seen because Tommy was 13 years. She said, "Where did you find it?" She asked him, "Where did you find it?" "In my house." He pointed without looking. He said, "In my house I found." Because he was busy reading in an attic, a space just below the roof, which is as a storeroom, which is like a storeroom. "What's it's about?" She was asking, "What's it's about? School?" Margie was scornful. "School? About the school? What's there to write about school?" She was saying, "What is there to about? I hate school." Margie always hated school. See, Margie didn't like the school. She hated the school. But now she hated it was more than even ever. See, her hatred was increasing. Why? Because we'll learn. See, now ahead we'll see why she didn't like the school. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography. See, they were learning through computer, and in that computer they were having a mechanical teacher. See, nowadays you have the live teacher like us. We used to teach you in the classroom, but in the future they were having a mechanical teacher that had been given her, and she was giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse, and day by day she was doing worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the country inspector. This girl now, she was hating this mechanical teacher, and she started hating the subject also, and studies and school, everything. Because of this subject she was doing worse in geography. Scornfully means contemptuously showing you think something which is worthless. Her mother saw that she is not doing well in this subject and sent for the country inspector, and she called a country inspector. He was round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. See, this country inspector came, and he was the appearance of the country inspector was round little man with a red face. He was having a red face and a whole box. He was carrying a box of tools with dials and wires were there. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple. In that man, he came and he smiled at Margie and he gave Margie an apple. Then took the teacher apart, then took that computer apart. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again. She was not knowing how this man will fix and to put everything together, but he knew how. All right, and after an hour or so there it was again, and that man, county inspector, he was knowing how to fix it and how to make it proper. And within an hour it was again the same, large and a black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lesson was shown. See, she was describing the computer, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown. Again, all the lessons were shown, and the questions were asked, and the questions were also asked. That wasn't so bad. The part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework. See, the thing what Margie hate was she has to means she has to keep all her homework, and thus in the slot was a slot means a given space, time or position was being given in that they have to keep their homework and test papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code, and she has to write them in a punch code. They made her learn when she was 6 years old. When she was 6 years old, she started learning it. And the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. And the mechanical teacher used to count the marks, no, within a few hours or time, without wasting time. They would marks means they would correct her test and give the marks. The inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Margie's head. Since inspector did all the well, and he smiled at this little girl and petted her. He said to her mother, the inspector said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault. It was not at all this girl's fault, Mrs. John." The mother's name, what was her mother's name? Mrs. John. "I think the geography sector was grade a little too quick." Yeah, geared means adjusted to a particular standard. Yeah, when we study, we learn according to our age bar. So, what he said to her mother, it was not the little girl's fault. It was not girl's fault, and it was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes. I have slowed it. So he said, I have slowed it down up to an the average of but that the girl's age 10 years level. He did at the 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory, and the progress of that girl Margie is quite satisfactory. And he patted Margie's head again and again. He patted Margie's head. Margie was disappointed. She was disappointed. Why? She had to be hoping that they would take the teacher away altogether. She was thinking that they will take this teacher, this computer, along with them, and she'll be free for few days, because they had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month, because she was thinking that Tommy's teacher was being taken for a month, so her also will go, because the history sector had blanked out completely. In Tommy's computer, the Tommy's teacher was taken for a month. Why? Because the history sector which was there in that had blanked out completely. So she said to Tommy, "Why would anyone write about school?" She was asking, why anyone will write about the school. See, after this, we'll see in the part 2 video. Thank you.